Brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends, the coolest game on iPhone.
I've sunk hundreds of hours with thousands of champions in Raid Shadow Legends. Sign up now and you get 300,000 of the worthless currency and one mediocre hero for absolutely free.
300,000 Shadow Gems and a hero that will be outclassed at about 5 minutes of idling. I don't know how Raid Shadow Legends works.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game with Love, a place for all games and all people. I'm Chase McEwen, and I'm joined, as always, by Kai Arnsdorf.
Hello.
And Ty Greenall.
That's me.
And we're doing our first Games Club podcast today. So a little different. We're going to be talking about the 2 games we play for Games Club each month. Over on our Discord, we have a little community going where we all play similar games, and then we do a podcast discussing them. Our games this month were Not for Broadcast and Deflector, and we're going to start with Not for Broadcast and talk for about 20 minutes to a half hour on each and give you our opinions and tell you why this month was good. Let's start with Kai. Tell us about Not for Broadcast. Tell us the overall, summary of Not for Broadcast.
Well, basically in Not for Broadcast, like your basic opening is I think it's a janitor who is sent to clean up the news editing room, and you answer the phone, and the guy who's the usual news editor is like, I know you're there just to clean it, but you're the news editor now, good luck. And they go through like a little tutorial broadcast on like how to actually edit a news broadcast, and it's all FMV, all fully acted, live action, but all around you is still a video game. It's almost like a Papers, Please mixed with like a Five Nights at Freddy's while doing its own thing.
That's a good way to. Those are 2 good games to reference for it, I think. Ty, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say you're basically presented with a gigantic wall of shiny colored buttons, and you have no clue what any of them do. And then a guy calls you on the phone and one by one kind of walks you through how to do this in real time. I have seen the game described as a full motion video propaganda simulator, and I think that's pretty accurate way of defining it.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got a lot to say. It's nice to see more games about politics, as much as I think this one jumbles it a little bit in its delivery, but we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, essentially it is got a lot of FMV, a lot of full motion video going on. For our YouTube listeners, you'll see video of my playthrough up on the screen, so you can kind of follow along. But yeah, and it's a little bit puzzly, clicking on the different things to keep the broadcast going properly. But as you play, the kind of authoritarian government interrupts your broadcast to tell you that you have to censor certain things that are anti-government. So if people start to speak poorly or talk about things that the government doesn't want to talk about, you have to censor that, and then it's up to you to choose whether to do that or not. And then it leans much in the other direction too, and has a, like, I guess, terrorist organization, or more realistically like a anti-government
anarchist,
anarchist
group
cell, who you can start to follow, and then they essentially do the same thing where it's like, hey, don't talk bad about our anarchist cell. What did you guys think of the gameplay? Let's start with something simple, just like gameplay. What did you think of the general puzzle aspect of it? And
I'll start with this one and say that I thought it was pretty well handled. I liked the grading system didn't seem too harsh. I know, Kai, earlier you were mentioning that you got completely booted out of a level basically because you did too poorly on a segment, which we'll talk about later. But I never had anything like that happen. I just got poor grades when I fumbled something really badly. I would get like a C- and lose money, and my character's financial status would drop from broke ass poor to sell your kidneys already. Like,
damn, I never got that.
Honestly, I wish I had that moment recorded, because like you could actually see that it was actually the game. I don't understand it even.
But yeah, regardless, we'll talk about that moment a little later and talk about some technical stuff that you may or may not have come up against. But I feel like it did a really good job. Like, I was frequently sweating over here, trying to get everything going at the same time. That makes you juggle no more than 2 or 3 things at once, I'd say. It never makes you full on multitask everything on the board in front of you. So it's never quite as overwhelming as it first feels when you sit down in the newsroom and you have no clue what any of the buttons do.
I'm guessing we all played on normal.
I played on normal,
I played on the one they said was the recommended.
Yeah, same. That was normal. I wonder how much it amps that up if you increase
If
the
you go
difficulty.
showrunner,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I agree. It was well balanced. It was the difficulty that I would have
Mhm.
liked to have played it on. I feel like any more would have been frustrating. But
Yeah, I agree.
I just think having like it's just such a unique experience. Organizing the two broadcasts like that was very satisfying to watch. Like when you lined it up well and the transitions were smooth, to watch you like do that on the other screen, I was like, hell yeah, this is live to the world right now,
It's
and I'm killing it. Yeah, it was very satisfying.
How did you feel, Chase, about the musical segments where you had to cut to the beat of the music?
I liked what I liked what I was watching, and I liked certain aspects of it. It could work really well if you slowed it down, because at first I was trying to do it per beat, and then I was just like, this looks sloppy as hell on the actual screen because you're cutting so much. But I realized that it gives you more points than you'd think, so you can really slow it down and do it every like third or fourth beat and still get the
Yeah.
×8 going. So once I figured that out, it started to look better, and I did like it. It did ding you a lot if you fucked up, but overall those points aren't really worth that much. It's like, you're just boosting the audience by
I don't know how much the audience viewership points are really worth at all. I
think
don't.
that's just
I
towards the
honestly don't know.
grading system.
Yeah, but
Well, it's also towards getting bonuses so that your character gets more money for
Yeah,
story
yeah.
decisions outside of the broadcast. Like
True.
if you wanna pay for grandma's medical bills, you need to have money.
Wait, let me ask you guys something. Did either of you ever have money in this game?
Yeah.
I did. Like I was like the highest I got was like slightly splurging. Like, and I generally just had money even if I kept spending it. The
Nice.
worst I got was manageable debt.
I was broke ass poor for the entire game.
That's so funny. That's so cool to see.
Never took an option that made me money. I took the vacation with my wife. I gave money to my kids so she could go on her train ride vacay. I did everything. I was like, fuck this. I don't need money.
Yeah, it's interesting to see though. This is a good game to discuss because of how different it can be for each playthrough. But yeah, I definitely took the vacation with the wife, but the daughter, I was like, it was right near the beginning, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go into debt. I can't afford this. Sorry.
Actually, let me wind it back even further. One of the first major decisions of the game. Did you guys give Chris the passport?
Oh no, definitely not.
Kai?
Give Chris the passport. I don't even remember.
He's
that
like
one,
your
to be
best
honest.
friend or childhood
He's-
friend or
he's
something.
your
yeah,
brother.
no, I didn't. No, I was
Oh,
like, that's
I'm the
against
only
the
one who-
law. I'm
No,
gonna
fuck-
get caught.
I wasn't even. I didn't
fuck
care
him.
about the law. I was like, fuck that guy. He's guilt tripping the shit out of me. He's just like, and he
Yeah,
also
like-
seemed like a rich piece of shit. He was talking about his bank account, his multiple bank accounts that he was gonna lose money in. I was like, oh, fuck you. I don't care.
True, he
I'm a
was a
broke ass
rich bitch.
bitch.
He was an entitled little twit.
All right. Well, I gave him my passport.
What? Okay, what was the outcome of that?
What happened?
I think a lot. So we'll kind of talk about it as we go.
Yeah, we'll do that when we get into the story, because that definitely has some ramifications, I bet.
Okay.
But yeah, anything else you guys want to touch on gameplay? I feel like it ramped up really well. There was a couple sections where the static, like the thing on the side where you had to line it up. There was one section where the whole time it was like a 20-minute broadcast, and all I was doing was moving that shit up and down.
Whoa.
It was because there wasn't any switching of cameras, so it was really all they could give me. But I
Yeah.
was like, this is so tedious, and that one specifically was kind of like, eh.
Chase, I think that's the one I literally just finished when we started this. So
Could have been, yeah.
Like, and that's why I'm kind of like not in a great mood about it. At the
Yeah.
moment.
Oh,
It's
like-
a great game, but like that was so tedious. It's 20 minutes of just. I was actually
wait.
dead on the inside.
I have a
I
question
had that
about
one
this.
too.
So wait, do you like, because usually when I do those, you're talking about the segment on the far right with like the scroll wheel, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So usually when you do those segments, you like do it for like a minute or whatever,
Yeah.
and then it goes green,
Yeah.
and then you would just have to do it again immediately after.
Not immediately, but like within the next minute, yes.
Minute.
That's what was
minute
happening.
or
Oh, damn.
two.
There was like nothing breaking
for,
up the.
for 20 minutes.
There maybe
Oh,
it was
and
a couple sensors breaking it up, but that was it, and then it was just back to the.
Okay.
I did like when they started to implement the anarchist group, like cutting in their own frequency, so you had to adjust to that if you wanted to hear what they said, or adjust to the regular one if you wanted to keep the broadcast going.
It was like a gameplay and a story decision in one. It was kind of
Yes,
nice.
I did really like that addition. I think that I wish they did some more of that, like maybe another one interrupting, but overall I think that was cool.
For reference,
also-
let's put this out here really quick, then I'll let you say what you want to say, Kai. The authoritarian government is called Advance, and the anarchist group is called Disrupt. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the game does a generally a good job for at least every couple of broadcasts, like really switching it up. Like I really like the Dream broadcast
Yeah.
where you have to fry the teddy bears off the signal
Mr. Snuggle
and
Hugs.
the snuggle hugs and slap them.
I did actually love that, and like flicking them, the mechanic behind that was oddly satisfying, where you could like juggle them in the air and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it
the
was really
physics.
fun.
It's so good.
But I wish when the game hit that peak, I wish it kept going with the surrealism. I feel like this is the problem it kind of juggled for me, was when to take it seriously, when was it funny, and then like the surrealist aspect, and it got to the point where it was kind of jumbled. I definitely have some complaints if you guys want to
I
switch over to
Yeah, we can
overall
kind of
message of the game.
move on to the message. I kind of agree. I feel like the game absolutely could have gone in a more political direction and really nailed that point home, but I think the game also really wanted to be like very slapstick
Hmm.
and very ridiculous and wacky at the same time. So I think juggling those two elements is always going to be inherently difficult. And
Yeah.
maybe on certain endings or certain like playthrough paths, it like really leans into one way or the other. But I feel like it was always kind of flip flopping back and forth. You know, like one minute you'd be in the middle of something really intense, and then the next minute you'd be watching some cop like chase a gimp out of the back of the frame,
Yeah.
who's like literally just wearing like black leather underwear and a gimp mask, and he's like chasing after him with a whip, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah, it did need to strike I think a finer balance, but there was definitely moments where it was a little meh, but there was also some moments that I think it was handled well. But yeah, it was just also kind of hard to parse whose politics were whose. Like at the beginning, everything they were saying about Advance was like, I was like, yeah, all this stuff sounds totally fine. And I guess their message was like, oh, any group it just seemed like the people who made it definitely seem lefty as hell, but it kind of seemed centrist by the end of it. I was like, man, they're kind of like, oh, both sides can be bad, and I don't know. It was a little off-putting for me. Although the final message that I got from my ending, I did enjoy, because it was kind of just like, yeah, go vote if you want real change. Like, be the change. Like, go actually do something about it. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, the ending was like, you have the power to. You're the only one who can really, be the change you want to see. So it's like, go vote, go run for office, go do things that you want to have happen in the world, which is cool. But again, Advance was like, at first I was like, oh man, they're doing a lot of like very socialist ideological things that I like. And then they're like, well, we're going to nuke half the world as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, why did they just decide that? And then also like the anarchist group makes a huge change too, because he starts as like this bumbling idiot who's definitely like he's read one too many
It's basically Alex Jones.
yeah, one too many
What is his
Alex
name?
Jones books.
What is his name? Like Alec James or something
Yeah.
like
Alan
that.
James, yeah.
Yeah,
Alan
Alan
James
James.
is right. In my new book, Alan James is Reich.
Yeah. But then I think the switch, like his switch was too abrupt too. I was like, okay, now he's the good guy, but he was just a bumbling idiot. How am I supposed to side with this guy? For me, it was just a little jarring.
It's fair.
What do you guys think?
Honestly, I didn't see any side as good, to be honest with you. Like I knew Advance was just fascist asshole corporation the whole time. Like none of their propaganda fooled me. Like when they're asking people to get all these fucking cards that are just they have your bank information, like all your personal information, just so that your life could be a little bit more convenient. I was screaming, yeah, this is a spy state. This is a KGB state going on right now, and that's where it goes.
Abolish the
They're
cops.
Putin. They're basically Putin.
I guess you're right. Maybe I just kind of fell for the bait a little bit at the beginning and was like, but to be fair, they also implemented some of these things, whereas a lot of political parties will just say they're going to do it, like Joe Biden, for instance, and then just not do it.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah,
actually,
exactly.
yeah, they actually
It's
implemented
propaganda,
some,
right?
Yeah, they actually implemented some. So I was like, oh, okay, like these are the good guys, and then all of a sudden, I just think the transition could have been like they shouldn't have gone from that to like to me obviously there was the ID cards as well, but then they just went straight to nukes, and I was like, okay,
Nukes.
Yeah.
Could have been
it is a little silly.
could have been a couple other things in there, but
I think they were doing it because like there were like sanctions and their country was getting bankrupt, and so they're like, fuck it,
Yeah.
nuke the world and
Yeah.
show them our dominance, which is a bit of a scary thought nowadays.
True.
This game became very relevant within a month.
Yes, I agree.
But
And they even touch on like COVID shit. Like they don't specifically say COVID, but with those stupid little
The lockdown,
yeah, the lockdown and everything. Like, damn, this game must have been being made during COVID, which
Absolutely.
is
Well,
crazy.
it came out in
just
early
launched,
access in 2020, and then the full launch was in January
Yeah,
2022.
very cool.
So this came out just before the whole business with Ukraine.
Yeah,
happened.
the in the dream sequence when they're doing the lockdown thing and the reporter is out in the field, but he's actually
Yeah.
just in his bathroom with the
Yeah.
poster behind
Yeah.
him. That was so funny.
Yeah, I did like that a lot.
How did we feel about the game's humor in general?
A lot of it landed for me.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of it that landed for me personally. There's some where I'm like, okay, this skit just it ain't doing it for me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here and just focus on just making it look decent.
St. Bumley's
then-
taint.
But then there's the old man. I don't know if you saw the old man chase in the advanced presidential speech. Holy, the old man had me in
Oh, you mean the
stitches.
one who just kept rambling on about different stuff when the lady was trying to
He thinks the president's a carrot, so he's like 2 sugars in it.
Yeah. Yeah, the old man bit was good.
And he just starts rambling about trenches and how they had to make food from coal. I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny.
That's the nice thing about this game. Works well for humor because it's very skit. Like it's set up like very, you're doing like this 20-minute skit and you're moving on. So if one skit doesn't work for you, well, you got the next one to look forward to. But
Since like a lot of the skits are like in the form of advertisements and stuff where like you can literally just turn the volume down and focus on something else while that's playing if you want to.
yeah, but that's actually a good point. Like the advertisements also add to the world building, but some of those advertisements are funny. Some of them I was like, what is happening? And I had to like turn it up to hear what's going on the side of the screen.
The game does a really good job of like tempting you to turn down the volume of whatever's actually important and listen to something else on the side. Some side conversation between two characters, two people yelling at each other in the bottom corner. You're like, what are they talking? What's happening? Did he just hit her? What?
Yeah, it's a brilliant way to set up the game because it does make you want to go into that separate room that they have where you can view all of them. I did it a couple times. I wish I did it more than I did, but
I'll probably go back and do it more now, like after we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But I only did it like after my first like 2 or 3 broadcasts I went in and I watched some of the ads just to watch some of the ridiculous skits. Shout out to Johnny Hamsleeves, by the way. I love that guy.
Wait, Johnny Hamsleeves. Which one was he?
He's the workout instructor. And he's like a sports legend too. He's the whole character.
Wait. The guy who does
did he
the pinky
die?
thing?
Yeah.
Is it the pinky thing guy?
Yeah,
that's
the
my
pinky thing
favorite character. No.
No,
Why am I forgetting the pinky thing?
Okay, the where they try to throw the ball, they have to miss the bucket.
Oh my
That was-
god, the sports skit. Yeah,
that was my favorite skit.
so good.
That was my favorite skit in the
That's-
whole game.
That and the old person skit were the best for me.
Yeah.
Like I was dying laughing.
Just the idea of having a game where your goal is to miss the bucket and they keep scoring and then just like,
Mime round.
yeah.
Oh my
the
god,
mime.
she spit up the banana.
Man. And then the nude protesters come in and they've got body.
And you have to edit around
Yeah,
them. You
yeah.
have to find camera shots they're not in.
Yeah, that was also good having to edit around that too. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I think let's talk about like the humor aside, like the acting in general. What did you guys think of the performances for an FMV game?
So I started off kind of lukewarm, but as the game went on, especially the two kind of leads, the news anchors, Megan Wolf and Jeremy Donaldson, I really loved. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were both phenomenal.
Like Jeremy, especially for me, is the highlight of the game in terms of characters. He's basically the main character for so long in the game. And
Yeah.
spoiler alert, I don't know about you guys, but for me, he fucking got whacked. He got killed, so that's interesting.
Chase, did that happen to you too?
I mean, it did. Wait, no. He didn't get killed. He got.
Jeremy was alive till the end?
He wasn't alive to the end, but he got kidnapped. And then,
Oh.
or no, sorry. Wait, did he actually get killed for you guys? Straight up killed?
For me, he shot himself on camera.
Oh, okay. So at
camera.
so at that point, I cut away because I didn't want to see someone get their brains blown out. And then he comes back as a part of the terrorist organization at the end of the game and makes a huge speech. And like, makes the camera focus on him, and it's really good.
Because like for me, it was he gets shot by Advanced because I didn't play the tape. I didn't
Oh.
play the tape.
Okay, so for me,
So-
they take him away. Advance takes him to jail, and then Disrupt break him out of prison, and then you don't know this, but at the end of the game, he comes in with Alec James and takes off his mask, and he's like, "I'm gonna be the one to talk." And he actually reveals that the Disrupt organization is run by a bunch of like billionaire investors from across different countries, and so they've got their own shit that's gonna like ruin if they're in charge. So he's just like, he's the one who comes in and he's just like, we're showing the bad side of, here's what actually is going behind the scenes, you make the final decision. And then that's where I was like, yeah, the ending was like, go out and like actually do the changes you want to see. So that was really cool to have him come back and do a big monologue at the end. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I didn't cut away, and he fully brained himself on camera. I did watch that happen. So be warned, there's some graphic content in this game, folks.
There is actually a trigger warning at the beginning of the game.
There
that
is.
Says
that's true.
There is, and you can go into the menu to read all the spoilers.
Yep, and it's funny because that's exactly what I was talking about in our video. Like, why not have a thing that's like, hey, this is gonna spoil you, and they literally have that, and you can like tick off the thing.
This is gonna spoil you, but hey, there's a warning if you need it. Yeah.
Okay, so the way that you can save Jeremy is if you cut away. If you don't cut away, he dies.
Okay.
But if you do cut away, there's a little bit of leadway for Advance to arrest him.
Gotcha.
So that's how you save him. But I did not cut to an ad. He got shot by a CCO for me.
Yeah.
And we could just confirm that was his death for me. So.
Oh damn.
Okay.
So all three of us.
Interesting. Yeah. So he got shot by the cop he was yelling at, right? Like the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because for me, he shot himself. The cop left the room and he monologued at the camera, and I wasn't cutting away. That was the most intense moment of the whole game for me. Like I was on the edge of my seat.
The Heat Wave is the best chapter. Like, by far.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so good.
I was not cutting away, but yeah, it's rough. Sorry, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy gets it rough.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool though, because that's different implications for all of us.
And again, like that's a split-second decision where like you don't even know that cutting away could actually save.
Yeah, I didn't do it right away. It took me about 10 seconds before I was like, no, I'm gonna cut away. And then I did.
They give you a fair amount of time to do it, but yeah, it just leads into what we mentioned earlier about the game giving you kind of gameplay elements and story elements at the same time. So even if you're like not intentionally making the choice to cut away from this, you might just cut away.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to do in the moment for the show.
But yeah, overall, definitely thoroughly enjoyed this game. Do you guys have a favorite moment, favorite section in particular that stands out? Maybe just like the broadcast. For me, it's the sports one.
The sports one would be probably my favorite skit. I do love the old man. I know the one you're talking about with the old man. And yeah, the sports one is just next level comedy for me. I don't know. There's something so great about it. Like, this game has that very like British style of having like intentionally very dry humor, but also like hit over the head with a wacky hammer. Like,
yeah. I think the old man's just my favorite too, because I do have the bias of I work in a retirement home and I know people exactly.
Fair enough.
Are we going back to the home soon?
There's a lot going on in that part too. Not like as well as his ramblings. You have to focus on like 4 other like people getting their medals and like all this different stuff.
He can't lift his hands above his chest. You'll have to go down low.
The boy band was good too. I enjoyed the boy band section with the.
I liked the boy band section. I'm gonna be honest. I liked the high school drama class section better.
Oh, the high school drama class was
with Mr. Algebra.
Yeah, with Mr. Algebra. Oh my god.
I did like that one.
That one kid who's just a fucking idiot who keeps interrupting everybody and getting in the way.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When they give you control of the booing and the laughing and all of that stuff, that was a good part too. Because like during that play, I could just be like, "Boo!" and they don't know what's happening. It was good. I did like that.
The sitcom editing was hilarious.
Yeah, that was fun addition.
I want to throw this out too. I also really enjoy the mechanic of like having to make decisions that affect public opinion of different groups. Like when they would give you the 2 pictures on the bottom and you have to decide which one to use to display that organization.
Or the happy face. Or the
Mm.
happy face, the neutral face, or the sad face.
Yeah.
And you'd get a different clip depending on which one you picked.
Yes.
I remember picking one of the neutral face ones, and it's just a reporter with an old lady who's just hacking her lungs out and smoking a cigarette for like a minute.
I like the idea of framing the different politicians in whatever light you want, and then having the broadcasters be like, "Yeah, no," instead of you just pick the picture of them smiling, and then they're like, "Yeah, they did exactly what they're supposed to," or you picture them where they're like, "Fuck you," and it's like, "These guys suck. They don't know what they're doing." I think the reincorporation of the characters was fantastic too. Like you start with like they don't throw away their characters. You have the actor guy who's there like to the end acting in different things and doing more outside
Crazy
of that.
actor guy,
Yeah, you
Alan
have
James.
the sports guy who's in a bunch of different things and becomes an
The
actor of
sports
his
guy,
own.
yeah.
Yeah, you have all these characters who are just there throughout it and developing and
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this specific choice, but there's a part where there's like 2 or 3 choices involved with this where you have to pick which picture to use to represent him, but where Johnny Hamsleeves, the sports guy, goes to rehab.
yes.
Do y'all remember
Mhm.
that part? Oh my, I thought that was fucking great.
Yeah, it's like the one where he's puking all over himself or
Yeah,
like giving
and
a
then
thumbs up going through the door or whatever.
yeah, and then later on when you're in the dream sequence, I think you can show it's like, oh, during the quarantine, the rehab center looks like this, and you can. There's one where it's like just a bunch of warning signs outside, and there's another one where it's just a bunch of people smoking and drinking and throwing up outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, given the quarantine, all of these people in rehab decided to relapse. Oh no. Yeah. It's rough.
I just hope this spawns some more FMV cool. There's so much that can be done with FMV, and this is like a good gateway FMV game. I feel like I just want more people to do shit like this. It's
For sure.
it's a
Also, is there a VR version of it? I feel like this game would be perfect for VR.
It's actually, yeah, it probably would be good in VR. I
It
don't know if
it would be perfect for
I don't
VR.
know if there is. That's actually
like
something I
maybe
wanted.
like
Go ahead.
a Half-Life Alex style thing where like you can have your hand like the knuckles. You can have like your hands just press all the different buttons and press all the different dials.
Yep.
And stuff
I
like
agree. That would be a perfect fit for this
change
game.
some stuff into some levers or some little knobs. Yeah, exactly. Another thing that was good is the the room you're in. You're always wanting to kind of look around too. The stuff outside the window's always changing. Sometimes the stuff on the side table will change. Like they've always got stuff going on in the actual room you're in that felt like it was its own thing as well, which I
Yeah, like
did like.
I lost my telephone and it became an advanced speaker on the wall.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I have heard through the internet that if you actually get money in this game, you can spend that money on like decorations and stuff for your newsroom.
Oh,
Is that true?
I never got that. Wait, I did. I was definitely in the green, but I don't know if there was a separate like store option for that. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't see that, but by the end of the game, I was in the green.
I just read that online because I was looking up if it was even possible to make money in this game, and it most
Damn.
certainly is.
Damn. Well, I wish
you
figured that out.
You literally just spent all your money. That's it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't go on my anniversary weekend, but I let the
You
daughter go on the
bastard.
trip.
Oh, you did the opposite of me. I went on the anniversary, but I didn't let the dog.
Yeah,
go.
see, I sent the daughter on the trip and she got fucking nuked.
Wait,
So I
really?
went for,
Oh God.
she got fucking nuked.
Oh God.
I quickly looked up exactly what the effects are, and there's some more stuff that changes later on. But the main one is if you give Chris the passport at the beginning, it's like the first choice of the game. If you
Yep.
give him your passport, you never get it back. So you're kind
Ooh.
of screwed as far as advance goes later on. But right at the beginning, you get he sends you 2 tickets as a thank you to an opera house where you can personally meet Alan James. So that's kind of interesting.
Oh.
What about? Did you guys
Okay.
choose to when an advance approaches you? Did you guys make the passport thing, like the advance passport thing? Did you guys sign the waiver to get your ID
Oh,
card?
I
essentially?
roleplayed that I was a fascist shill.
Oh, did you?
Like they were giving me money. They were. I have to feed my family. You know, like
fair. I was just like, nah.
I just work here. I don't want to censor people.
I was doing the
but,
exact
you know.
opposite. I was doing everything
Yeah,
I
I said,
could to
hell
just
no.
anarchist it up. Cool. Yeah, I think we've covered that pretty well. Do you guys want to give your like just general grade, first impression grade, and what you think on top of the head?
I haven't quite finished my playthrough. I'm like maybe like 30-ish minutes away from beating the game at this point. If that. But at this point I'm sitting at either a B or an A, leaning more towards an A than a B. I think generally most things it sets out to do, it does succeed in. However, you guys are right. The political messaging can just get a little fumbled, and it's one of those stories that just needs to be more politicized and have that be more of an aspect. And sometimes it can have weird tone imbalances, but the parts where the emotions hit, they really freaking hit.
Yeah.
I found the nuclear part just oof rough.
Yeah,
Like
just
when
relevant.
Megan's giving the speech about how she doesn't know, I think it was her sister died or something like that. Like, yeah, that was really rough, and I think it's poignant by the end of it. I get a lot out of it. So, and I think the gameplay stuff, it does enough to keep it fresh through the whole playthrough. So I think a nice low A would be a good spot for the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'd be inclined to agree with that. I 100% agree that the political messaging can get a little foggy, but again, I kind of want to give it a little leeway to that, considering the game has 14 endings that
Yeah, true.
we saw 3 of. Like, I don't know
Very true.
exactly how that could potentially play out, but all in all, the tone does get a little muddled, but usually when that did happen, the game made me laugh, and I can forgive a lot if a game is truly funny, and I think this game is that. So yeah, solid A.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I'm right around the same as you guys. I'd say like B plus for me, potential A. Um, basically the same as you said, but it's definitely the funniest game I've played this year so far. I definitely won't be forgetting that sports bit anytime soon, and also a lot of the like where it starts to get really wild. Like, yeah, the gimp in the closet and the guy having a party trying to do the interview, and everyone keeps
that guy.
rolling
Wait,
up.
what was his name? Oh, God.
You
What was
seem
the
quite
guy's name?
busy. I
I
forgot
don't
what the guy's
remember.
name was.
No, because he keeps correcting the anchor, right? Because he wants to be called something freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, and well, he also keeps calling the anchor the wrong name. Like he keeps changing his name, but
I forget that guy's name though. Titwank Tony. His name's Titwank Tony.
Titwank Tony.
And he
Ah,
keeps
Oh yeah, and they keep
swearing
having
the
to
entire time.
they keep having to bleep it because it's
Yeah.
a swear, and the people in the
bleep them
background
every
keep
time.
people in the background keep saying it in the background.
I also think it's really funny how the game makes you censor wank but not tit. You just have to censor the wank part.
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
It's weird British curse word.
Weird British
standards.
curse words, yeah, but it made me laugh the first time I realized it.
And
Oh,
bullocks.
so he can
You
be
have to censor bullocks as well.
yeah, bullocks. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's tit beep Tony.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that was a good first game, and we will move on to game number 2, which is Deflector. Exactly what Kai says.
That's the sound it makes in the game.
So Deflector is a roguelike where you throw a giant boomerang, at least as the first character you get, and as it comes back towards you, you can hit the deflect button, and then it bounces back out further and does more damage. And you can do the same to enemy projectiles. It's a mix between a roguelike and a bullet hell. There's tons of yellow bullets you'd see in familiar games on the screen. And yeah, if you hit those with your deflect as well, they bounce back towards the enemies and do damage. And
That's incorrect. Sorry, Chase. Yellow bullets cannot be deflected.
oh, sorry,
Only the red ones.
Red. Yes. The red bullets.
That's my nitpick of the evening.
Damn, that's messed up.
Thanks, fact checker Dan.
But yes. And then, you go through different areas, you get upgrades, you fight bosses, and then you fight a final boss. And this game is in early access, so we have 3 areas and 1 big final boss to deal with, as well as a couple different characters. First impressions, my friend.
So I'll get ahead of this and say I probably played the most of this game. I think I'm the only one here who actually cleared a run. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got to the final boss. Haven't beaten him yet, but I'm planning on playing more tonight when we're done.
Yeah.
Here.
Took me 3 or 4 attempts at the final boss to get him, but yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I put 16 hours into it total, but I think a little bit of that is idle time where I wasn't really playing, but I just checked my Steam time. First impressions, I thought this game was a little jank when I first started playing it, to be honest, but the more I played it, the more I loved it. I think the devs have a really good, solid understanding of what makes a fun roguelite. I think there's a few small things that could be fixed that would really improve the quality of the game. I know that since I played it, a big patch has come out and changed how progression works in your run with like the what do you call that? The DNA board or whatever?
Yeah, the DNA strands and
yeah, I know there was a major change to that just recently, so I don't know the specifics of that.
Yeah, it was like literally like 2 or 3 days before this recording or something like that.
Yeah, it was the day after I beat the game. Like I beat my run, so I haven't gone back to it.
Because I last played it 2 days ago, so I wonder if
I think it would
I
have
feel
been
like I
live
would
if
have
you played it
noted.
2 days ago.
I would
Yeah.
have noticed.
Like
though.
when I played it on Saturday or Sunday, it had it. So
Cool. All in all, really enjoyed the game. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts a little bit more in depth.
I mean, I didn't play as much as I would have liked to before the podcast. Like I actually really enjoyed what I played, and I plan on going back and playing more just on my own. I really like the look of the 3 areas. I really like the enemy variety in there. I really like the concept of the strands. It's such a cool way to do a build in a roguelike where you're like, I kind of have to plan out my paths in order
Mhm.
to get the different traits to get my different buffs that I
Agreed.
want. But certain buffs aren't gonna give me the trait paths that I
Yeah,
need,
it's really about
and so I have to
compromise.
improvise around that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got to throw out too the upgrade paths in this game, like the different upgrades you can get, are wild. And from run to run, consistently, I was getting something different and kind of broken in its own way pretty much every time I played, which is the sweet spot. That's exactly what you want in a roguelite, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys played enough to unlock this stuff. I will ding it a few points for being very roguelitey and having a lot of vertical progression, kind of meaning that you have to play a lot of runs and earn a lot of currency to get a lot of the game's unlocks cleared so that you can get those like abilities in a run. But the run I ended up finally beating the final boss with, I had an ability that every time I dashed created a big shield wall in front of me. And then I had that synergized with a move that made my shield wall potentially absorb bullets instead of deflecting them, healing me. So I could just throw a big wall out that would suck up all the bullets that hit it and heal me for like 20 health. It was really broken.
I did
Yeah,
have a
that's
heal
really
build
broken.
going as well at some point. Yeah,
It seems
honestly,
like heal builds are meta because like health in that game
yeah,
is hard to come by.
A
true.
rare commodity, yep.
Mhm.
A couple other notable abilities I really liked. The one where every time you deflect, it stores a bullet, and whenever you dash, it
cool.
fires all your bullets out in a straight line.
That's cool.
So you're trying not to dash until the critical moment, and then you dash into the boss's face and do like 3/4 of their health in
I
one
like
shot.
that. I never had
That was a
that.
sick move.
I'm trying to think of the build. The build that I had when I made it to the final boss was it was my boomerang when thrown. It would deflect, had a chance to deflect of the bullets back, like the boomerang
Oh,
itself, and I built that up so much that it was basically deflecting all of the bullets that was thrown at me, and that was really satisfying.
yeah, I've seen that too.
I think this game has a ton of potential. I'm very positive for me gameplay wise. I think the only complaints I have are kind of outside of the gameplay. It's more about, and again, this could be my own fault, but it is my experience, so I'm gonna give you my opinion. But I found the like quality of life stuff needs to be improved. The menuing, like I didn't know that there was. I didn't even know there was progression. Like you could use those DNA things in a thing until like my last run, where I was like, oh god, I can upgrade all my shit and be so much more powerful. Because it's just like I think the wording is a little sloppy, and as well in the DNA thing. There's the healing one I didn't quite understand if you had to just put the deflector ones in the ones around it, or you could put anything. Like I wasn't sure what would be able to heal you. I think it's just some of the wording, some of the small stuff that needs some improving. But in terms of gameplay, I mean, I'm excited to see what the other character is about because
I can tell you if you want to know.
I know the sword guy. I'm close to getting him. I know now that I've been able to beat the 3 runs, I feel like next run I'll just do it in that order and get him. But yeah, tell me about the other characters.
So I have only unlocked three out of the 4. I haven't gotten the gunslinger. Never played as him. Because the Gladys challenge in the magnetic fields was really difficult
Yeah, I
for
keep
me, and
fucking that up.
and that's only step 1 to unlocking him. You have to do that, and then you have to take the battery you get to the toxic place and do an optional boss fight there
Oh
to
damn.
unlock the gun guy. So you have to do 2 things back to back, and I was not confident in my ability to beat a boss on the first try when I did eventually clear that Gladys challenge. But the other 2 characters I really enjoyed. The slasher's a lot of fun, and they have kind of the same most like I'd say like 75% the same kind of upgrade pass, and then 25% their own unique ones, which I wasn't expecting. I honestly, when I first started up the game in early, I knew it was early access. I kind of thought that boomerang guy was going to be the only character, and I was like, I was fine with that. But seeing the other 3 that I did, like the other 2 that I did play, was really nice. The other character I played, it was called the Spark. She kind of has this thing. She has like her own bullets that orbit her, like little stars. And then she has a push instead of a deflect, like a straight line. So you have to wait for your star to get into the right position and then push it at enemies. But then also you get a really OP deflect where you can kind of just push everything in a big wave away from you. So she kind of had her own thing going on there. And then her like because the boomerang guy has his like ultimate ability where you get 2 boomerangs and you can juggle them both, right? Her version of that was really cool. Like all the stars like grew out into a big wide circle. For anyone who's played League of Legends, like Aurelion Sol does in that game, but it's a lot of fun, like having to like line enemies up to be right in your orbit ring, so that all the stars go do 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 do
Yeah,
do
that
do.
sounds cool as
Very,
hell.
very
I like that.
satisfying to hit enemies with that.
How do you unlock her?
I forget, to be honest. It's some kind of side little mission in the game. Oh, actually, I do remember hers. If you know the egg at the start
Yes.
of the toxic
Yes,
place,
the egg.
yeah, it has to do with taking the egg to a certain
Okay.
place.
Okay.
It wasn't that hard, but
Wait, I
once you
took
pick
the
up the
egg to the worm guy, and then what?
there's one other thing you have to do before that.
Okay.
But okay, so yeah, I remember it fully now. In the middle area, like the purpley area, there's an optional boss where you have to fight 2 of the tutorial boss at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do that and then go do the egg thing.
Gotcha.
And then once you pick up the egg, I think any hit you take has a chance to break the egg. So you have to be real careful and
It
get
does,
the egg
yeah.
there.
I think the way the unlocking characters and objectives work is very Risk of Rain-esque, which I love. I like characters aren't just like, hey, play for this much time or get this much experience to unlock. You have to like go do shit in the world, which is very cool. I like that a lot. I'd say the narrative is kind of just barely there at this point.
Barely there, yeah.
There's lore, but there's not really. It's you can't really tell the story or anything past some interesting aliens. But
I agree with your point about like I do love Risk of Rain style. Like I love that game and I love the way that game feeds you characters, but I will also say for this game, I kind of wish they started you off with the slasher as well as the boomerang guy. I feel like giving you a little more I feel like the game needs variety is what I think.
for sure.
And I think giving you that off the bat instead of waiting until you master the game's mechanics to a point where you can like clear all three areas and get to the final boss, like would really go a long way.
Or at least if not completely unlocking him, having him be a little more rudimentary, a little bit easier for everyone to understand how to unlock, Like maybe you beat the first area or something a bit easier than having to do all 3.
I kind of like the little quest. I think the quest to get him is cute with the little sword guy who like keeps taking credit for killing your bosses, and like he's like, ah, haha, did you see me? I'd slow the monster, and you're like, yeah, you did that, buddy. Good job. I love that guy.
If I knew you were so bad, I would have done this by myself.
But yeah, I think the game does like really need a little bit of variety. I think deflecting that boomerang is really satisfying. I also think the main character, the Deflector, what is that? What he's called? The Deflector. The Eradicator, something like that, the Eliminator. I forget what he's called, but I think the Boomerang guy is the best character, and I think he's also probably the most fun. But I think a little bit of variety and a little bit more fleshing out of the other characters could go a really long way. I will also say, similar to Hades' weapon aspects, this game has 3 different forms for each of the 4 characters.
I've unlocked one for Eradicator.
I have both of them for the Boomerang guy, and one for the Sword guy, and one for the Orb guy. So yeah, there's a lot. Like for a game that's this early in its early access, I think the game has a lot of really good stuff going on. I will say some gripes with it would be some of the environments you get stuck on a little bit, which is really a mood killer in a game like this. Especially in the
enemies get stuck on the environment.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's especially bad in the Toxic Sea. Like anytime you have to dash out into the poison swamp is like should be stressful because you don't want to have to go into the poison swamp. You're getting pushed into there by enemies. But at the same time, if I go out in the swamp and then I end up taking like half my health damage from poison because I got stuck on a rock, that's not exactly what I want in a game like this. So maybe clean that up a little bit. Some UI improvements would go a long way. And the tutorial works fine, I think. I think Kai has maybe more to say on the tutorial than I do, but I wish the game had a little bit more of an in-depth tutorial as to how it's like meta systems work, like with the upgrade pass and the DNA tree and the place you spend your money in the main menu screen, like all of that stuff I think could be cleaned up quite a bit.
But yeah, I think when you get into a flow state with this game, it feels really good. Once you start bouncing that boomerang off every time.
When you master the double boomerang bounce, I think is when the rhythm really starts going.
Or you can get them to be out and you dash so that they both come back to you at the same time, and then you're just bouncing them at the same time in 2 different directions. Good.
I did do that a couple times by accident, but mostly I just double timed the bounce, and I found that really fun.
Yeah, double timing the bounce is also fantastic. Yeah, I think I'm excited to see what this game looks like in a year.
I honestly, I think the game has changed a little bit even just since we played it like a week ago, and I have kind of been looking at the devs in the Discord group they started for the game, and they're super receptive to feedback. They're responding to everybody sending messages in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game massively better in like a couple months' time.
And to be fair, I think it's worth the $20 now at in the state it's at. But
I agree.
I
Yeah.
think if it stays at that price by the time it's done, like that's a lot of game.
Yep.
What do you guys think about the art style? Derivative,
I really like it.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty interesting that your character is going through these environments on the back of a giant flying slug.
Yeah, I
It
do
feels like
that.
if Appa was a slug.
I
He
do
does
like
have
it.
some Appa vibes.
He does have some Appa vibes. I'll also say, like, as far as bullet hells go, the most important thing in this genre is visual clarity.
Yeah, true.
And in the middle area, like the purpley area, I find it kind of hard to see the red bullets against the reddish purple water. I don't know if that's intentional because that water isn't like the poison. It doesn't hurt you. It just slows you down a little bit. But I think that could be improved. I also kind of wish the color of some of the enemies themselves would be changed, specifically in the toxic sea, the toxic sea and the purple area. I think changing the color of the enemies a little bit would help a lot, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but
I completely agree. And also on that note, I find that going into your ultimate state made things worse for clarity.
yes.
Which it should not
100%.
be doing. I definitely, there was times where I was like, I don't want to go into this because I'm not going to understand what's happening. So I hope that they make that more obvious because it should be a buff as opposed to.
Yeah, I was
negative.
definitely only activating it when I knew I had like a split second of safety and I knew I wasn't gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Because that initial flash when like the screen kind of shifts colors and all the enemies highlight orange, like I like how it looks when it goes into that, but that initial flash is very jarring.
Well, it's just that the enemies are also the same color as the gold bullets, so it just everything kind of bleeds together. And it could use a change, but
It almost feels like with like like what the color change like says to my gamer brain is, oh, I'm invincible because I don't
True.
have to care about
True.
projectiles. I don't see them, so why should I care? But no, you're not.
You're
still have to see
100%
it.
not invincible.
definitely
for
not.
this game.
Exactly, right? But like my brain's just like, oh, it's super dark, and they're telling me not to care about attacks, like just kind of subconsciously, and it's just like, well, no, it's not the case at all. Again, I think it could be a bit brighter or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Or just a little more neutral in
I
terms
also-
of like amount of change in color.
Honestly, I kind of wish that there was at least a setting to play with for that. Like I would personally like to just turn that visual flare off and have the game not react, and when I press E, just have the second boomerang come out.
just a
Or
noise and
or-
maybe like a little like I don't know, little flare on your character. Or something.
yeah, like an effect around your character instead of like a full screen changing effect. But
Yeah, the game could do with a little bit more on the customization side in terms of
For sure. And maybe that stuff's to come,
choice.
right? Like again, this is
Yep.
zero. This current version is 0.7, so they have some work
I'm
to
not
do.
talking
clearly,
it for
but-
now. It's
Yeah, of
still
course.
early access,
Yeah.
right? It's only when it's full game and you're like, hey, why can't I turn this off? That you can just start
Yes,
saying,
agreed.
okay.
But to be fair, also for an early access game, it runs really well. Like most of our complaints are visual clarity and some
Well,
What's
it,
it
it,
called?
it crashed twice for me in
Hey.
an hour.
that's
Yes.
fair. It didn't crash for me, but I guess
Never
that's my
crashed
own
for me
experience.
either, for the record.
Yeah,
Um,
so again, but you have to remember, like, I think I have some like weird metal plate in my head when it comes to games. I managed to break every fucking game I play. I'm not trying to.
Hey,
I swear.
We need a stress
just happens.
tester. We got to be at least one of us in here. That's
It's true.
stress
It's true.
testing.
If we
Like, yeah,
can't-
if you want to stress test your game and whether it's completely optimized or not, call me. I got some plate in my head. It'll put it to the test.
Before we completely transition off the topic, on the topic of visual clarity, I have to bring up the final boss. Twice I died to the final boss at a sliver of health, like myself, like both of us at 1 HP, and I did not understand what was happening. The final boss has a very specific visual trigger that changes the color of every bullet on the screen from red to gold or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I had no clue that was happening until I literally had to go back, look into OBS, and watch my footage back to understand what was happening. Because the first time it happened, like when I first lost to him on that attempt, I swear I had deflected that bullet, but it hit me, and I took it as an L, and I was like, oh, I guess I just missed the timing by a split second or something, right? But went back and watched the footage, and I was like, oh no, there's a little like border around the edges of my screen that was telling me that the entire game was about to change and all the deflectable projectiles were about to kill me. Oh boy.
Even the final boss's like line attack where you have to go in that specific area and the rest is covered with yellow like
Yeah.
at first is very visually unclear, but
Which is fair. I think like because with a bullet hell like this, like your first attempt at the final boss is always going to you're never gonna do great on your first try
yes,
before you know the
true.
boss's patterns, right? I think that attack is fine. It's really just the color changing of the bullets that I wish was maybe like forecasted a half a second in advance or something. I don't know. But that one move in the game really ticked me off. Did you get to the all three of the mainline bosses?
No, I did not. I did not yet.
Okay.
So you
Because
guys
I
can
know
still talk about it like full reign if you want
fair,
to.
yeah.
I don't really care about
Um,
spoilers. So
Chase, I know you said you didn't like the Toxic Sea boss, the tentacle monster, but
Yeah, I mean it's just pattern recognition. I just didn't get the pattern of
oh,
the
okay.
twirling tentacle shit. Like
Oh, like
when all the
when it
yellow
does
ones,
the
yeah, just
right.
can't
Okay.
dodge it. But I think favorite boss is probably the sword guy. I think bouncing
Okay.
his little Roombas into him was fun.
Yeah, the
And
Roombas were great.
yeah, I just think in terms of design, it was easy to understand. It was interesting. A lot of different attack patterns. I think the toxic one was my least favorite, but I think better designed than the big slammy guy. I think it would probably go sword guy, toxic, and then the big guy for me.
Yeah, I think I would just flip around Sword Guy and Tentacle Monster personally. I like the Tentacle Guy a lot. I do hear what you're saying with that. Like, I think of it as like a clockwork
Helicopter,
attack.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but helicopter, like when all the tentacles do a little spin
yeah,
move, and
yeah.
it definitely is tricky to get the timing of. But I really enjoyed that boss. I think the big slam guy is cool, but I feel like after I kind of figured him out, like I really like the way they have that move where basically the spikes are coming all the way around slowly around the ring. So you're trying to work your way around so as not to get caught by the spikes, but also do damage to him. Like I like juggling that, but after a few successful attempts at him, I kind of got a little bored of
Yeah.
him.
The other move I really liked by that guy was when you have to get to whatever that thing was on the other side of the
Yeah,
circle, and you had to bounce all the projectiles on your way, like clear your path and get
yeah.
there in time to damage it. Yeah, definitely interesting parts of each boss. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think this game is really enjoyable so far, and I'm gonna go back to this one for sure after we're done recording. And yeah, small notes are mostly just like collision issues, some visual clarity, all things that hopefully in a year from now are gone.
Yeah, especially if they like keep updating the like updates to the UI, updates to the what do you call it? Like the abilities. I was looking in the like I said in the developer Discord, and there's a like very high level bullet hell player who's like speed runs these games professionally and has like number one in on the leaderboards for a few different games, and he gave them like a giant essay and they responded with another giant essay, and they just
Sick.
opened a dialogue up with this guy, and you can go into their Discord and read this whole discussion between like basically the closest thing to a pro bullet hell player as you can get and the devs making the game, and they're like, oh yeah, we see your point on that, but wait, how would you balance that with this ability? And like they're just going back and forth about it.
I
I
like
read
it.
through the entire thing. I loved it. And yeah, I sent a message, and within like 10 minutes a dev responded to me, so they're super responsive. They clearly care about a lot about the game, and I will say they clearly play a lot of roguelikes because there's a lot of other games DNA in Deflector. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think it uses a lot of borrowed elements from other popular roguelikes really well.
The best thing about indie games, man, all of the devs just like care and it's just them. There's no talking piece for them. It's just like, hey, I'm talking to the person who made this game and they want
Yep.
their game to be better. What would we want to do a grade for Deflector?
I do struggle a little bit to rate a game before it's finished, obviously, but I would call this like a soft A, citing the technical issues and the visual clarity stuff that I didn't like, and a little bit of like maybe repetitive enemy types. I don't like that there's a couple enemies that are reused between biomes. I wish they were kind of all just isolated to their own biome. But other than that, I really loved what the game had to offer.
Kai?
yeah. So again, like my rating for right now is actually with Ty. Like I'm at a soft A for the game. It's just the core DNA of that game, and no pun intended. That's just
Mine was
really
intended,
solid. Yes, I'm sure it was.
just so you know.
But yeah, no, the game's just a lot of fun. It's just a fun roguelike. You can just go in there and throw boomerangs, deflect bullets, and just feel like a badass, you know? And that's the hallmark of a good roguelike. Again, when I'm thinking, oh man, this is reminding me of when I played Hades, like that's a good thing. that is never not going to be a bad thing in my mind. So it definitely gives me that adrenaline rush so far, and I'm enjoying it.
The only thing this game is missing to make it potentially as amazing as Hades is the story element that Chase
Yeah,
already
no,
touched on.
yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not Hades in terms of the story elements. I'm talking more
And it
just
probably
your
won't
straight up
get there,
roguelike
but
It probably
gameplay.
never
No,
will
it
be,
shouldn't
yeah.
be. No, and it shouldn't be. Hades is very much its own thing. Do you
it's nice.
like? I
I
don't
think it
blame
needs
them
more
for not
story
wanting to
than
go
it
that
has,
far.
though.
I agree, yeah. Especially with like the introductions, like it kind of paints it as like, oh, you're like an escaped experiment and there's like something going on here, but then it never really fleshes that out anymore. And
Sure.
I
I
don't know.
guess from my perspective, I just don't really care about any story in this game.
Fair enough.
I mean,
Like
but to be
that.
fair, it's not really there yet. You know, if it was, it might be. And there's definitely the spark of some personality in there with some of the characters and stuff. So I'm hoping
Oh, for
hoping they
sure.
expand on it somewhat. It doesn't need to be as robust as Hades, but I'd like to see
No,
some
because
more.
like Hades, you could play for like 1,000 hours and still get new dialogue.
There's
Like,
quite a
that
bit of
game is absurd
personality.
amount.
Quite a bit of personality to the characters. Like they've already started adding like unlockable skins and stuff for the characters.
Yeah.
So they clearly have some kind of focus on that. I just want these characters to be like a little bit more of
More
characters
than they are.
instead of just, you know, a sprite on a screen that throws a boomerang.
Yeah, I think I'm right around you guys. I'd say maybe B right now, but I think by the end of the week, because I'm planning it, like I could see myself getting to A by the end of the week because I plan on playing it a lot more because I'm really enjoying it. And again, like Kai said, the bones are just there. It just feels like a good roguelike. It's very pick up and play. Like I can just do this for an hour before work, do a quick run, and yeah, that's about where I'm at. But
How would we add more story elements into the game? Like, would we have like an area, like in the hub area, where like all the characters could have their own dialogue, or like how would we actually go about expanding the story for this game?
I mean that could be fun. I feel like just like we should like if I was them, I would start with probably a base like main storyline, quote unquote. The final boss is kind of you haven't seen it, Kai, but it's kind of just a big blob. It's like a corruption monster of some kind. Like it's a big black gooey blob with a red weak spot in the middle. Like it's not very visually unique, but I would like some build up to why we're fighting this thing. Man, there's also like an NPC in the first area, like in the little hub area. There's an NPC there that talks to you when you first start your run and then like dies, but when you get there for your like after your first area. And I kind of like that's a little bit of a hint of like having some kind of storytelling there, but not enough. They do some cute stuff with the side characters, but nothing like that leads to like a main kind of conflict resolution. And I could just see them adding something like that into the game.
Like, do you think it could be solved with like having character dialogue in the main hub area before you go to areas?
yeah,
Almost
I
like
think
Hades.
I think for me personally, that's hitting the nail on the head. Like for me, I love hub worlds. Like they're comfortable. So adding like some personality, some decoration to that hub world, which it seems like they want to have a hub because it exists already. There's just not much going on. But I think personally for me, that is the best way to do a roguelike story. Does have an area with the characters you've met, hanging out, talking to them, exchanging dialogue, upgrading weapons, whatever.
Yeah, for real. It would be super easy to implement, like just simply moving the shop where you buy upgrades for yourself from the main menu into that hub at the start of a run. And same with the character selection, like have me hit play game and then be in the hub as Eradicator and go and like there's like a place I can go to switch characters. And then another place I can go to upgrade myself. Like having that little hub actually be serving a purpose would be a really easy way to implement something like a story as well.
Like you could switch between the characters, and depending on what character you play as, could have different dialogue with
It's a
all
great
the other
idea.
different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Simple
this
as
is our
that.
game now. Tell these
We
devs to get
own it.
lost.
Dev, get out of here.
We just need to
What
learn
do
how to
you mean
code
budget?
and draw. And, do
And also how to balance a really difficult bullet hell roguelike. Pretty easy
How to get an investor to believe in us.
yeah. But overall, very good. Very good first month of Games Club. Yes, this was our first month. We didn't have a month before this. This was the first try of Games Club.
Definitely not a failed broadcast before this one.
But yeah, you can say that month was quite gunky.
Yeah, I think both these games are great, and I think we'll just quickly before we round this up touch on our next two games: Who's Leela or Lila, one of the two, and Kingdom of the Dead. Which one of the two are you guys more excited about?
I know literally nothing about either game.
Nice.
I watched about 2 seconds of each trailer after. I didn't get to watching the trailers until after people had voted, unfortunately. But I watched about 2 seconds of each trailer. I would say I'm more excited for Leela because I saw face jumble mechanics a la Super Mario 64.
Yeah, it's the whole game.
Yeah,
that's actually. I didn't even watch the trailer before I voted for it. I literally just saw it had face mechanics. I'm
Yeah.
like, vote.
Well, I love it. It's the interesting thing about that one. Personally, I think Kingdom of the Dead for me, just because the art style is great and it's been forever since I played like a retro FPS. So I'm excited about that. But Who's Leela it seemed to have the community's vote. Everyone was voting for that just because of the way it looked. I know it's going to be two more interesting games. And I think with these ones, it's got me hyped to do Games Club more because I enjoyed both these a lot.
Yeah, this month was fun.
Yeah. So tune in, play the games if you want to participate in the conversation next time, folks.
Yeah, they're both on Steam. We usually in our Discord drop how much they are, about the length of each game, and we have in our Discord we have a discussion panel for our Games Club games as well. And yeah, tune in to vote for next month's games after these, and we'll be back at the end of the month to talk about these next games.
Before we wrap, does anyone have anything they're playing right now outside of these two games that they want to talk about? Anything exciting going on?
Dark Souls. I fucking suck, guys. Hate it. It sucks. It's bad.
Yeah, I was watching you try to fight those gargoyles.
You missed the last fight before I had to go to do this podcast. I was very close.
I did see it. They were at a magic pixel.
Sliver of health. Yep. So I think I'll probably beat them tomorrow, but
yeah, I was just very happy to see you get to Firelink Shrine through that elevator and start to see like how interconnected.
Some connectivity. It's definitely like Bloodborne is also very connected. It's just nice to have that. It's just every game.
Bloodborne's is very optional because like you have fast travel everywhere right off the start.
That's true.
Dark Souls, you kind of have to like map out the world in your mind in order to like go from one place to another. I know there's a caveat.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, you're right. It definitely is more optional in Bloodborne, but it's nice to. I don't know. Bloodborne also came out later, so they had more time to refine all of these ideas. But it's optional, but it still has interconnectivity, which I like because if you want to just fast travel where you can, but you have these ladder systems and elevators that also connect the world, which is still cool to see that they designed that.
I hear you loud and clear, Chase, but I am excited to have this conversation again when you've played more Dark Souls.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll beat some gargoyles and beat some other guys.
Sweet.
But yeah, so the music's great. The graphics hold up way better than I expected. It's definitely way jankier than Bloodborne, but that's fine.
That's how it goes.
It's less janky than I thought it would be, but it's still frustrating because of its jank sometimes, which is annoying, but it's fine.
This is I mean, that's how it happens when you go back in time 10 years to a game the developer previously made in the same style. But also, I don't know, my nostalgia goggles are on, but I love that game's jank. I love every bit of it, even the horrible parts.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
You got to go back and play it and see the jank. Because
me and Ty literally played it last year.
You can't defend jank. It's objectively bad. Like when you go back and play
that on our next podcast episode. Fine. Does that sound good?
But when you go back and play Metal Gear Solid 3 and Resident Evil 4, it's not a fun jank. It's bad.
Yes, it is. What do you? We're discussing this on our next podcast. I'm
bad.
I'm not saying
no. I'm the man on the runway with the lights. No.
Don't stop the argument in the last 2 minutes.
There's 2 airplanes coming in, Kai. You better pick one to land.
I've been playing Elden Ring on the other end of the spectrum.
Fair. Less jank.
It's good. It is less jank.
As soon as I get a spare minute to start it, I'm gonna start it and hopefully get streaming it too. So I'm very excited to get it rolling.
Like if you like Souls and you like Breath of the Wild, you'll like Elden Ring.
Where is Elden Ring's jank level?
Less than Sekiro?
No, Sekiro is the least jank.
Yeah.
Sekiro's jank free, baby.
I figured.
Yeah, Sekiro is like the refined experience of all the FromSoft.
Less than Bloodborne or more than Bloodborne?
Less jank
I
than
would say
Bloodborne.
it's less jank than Bloodborne because the thing with Sekiro is you could only use the katana. There's only
No. Sorry,
one
I
weapon
meant
per
Elden
domain,
Ring, not
right?
Sekiro. I know Sekiro's less jank.
Oh.
Elden Ring is definitely more jank than Sekiro, but it is still a hell of a lot less jank than Bloodborne or the Souls games.
Cool.
You actually get a proper jump button, and platforming
Yeah.
actually works. The thing I hate the most in Dark Souls in terms of its jank is its platforming.
Yeah,
The
understandable.
platforming is
God,
awful.
that
in
fucking
those
run
games.
and jump button, so unreliable. I didn't realize how smooth some of that stuff is. Like David showed me just a Twitter clip of someone doing like a shadow dash, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks
Oh, in
clean."
Sekiro?
No, in Elden Ring.
Oh, I haven't seen anything. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the only I've barely seen anything, any of the bosses, but he just showed me like this looks clean as hell, and it was just someone doing a dash that looked hella crisp.
Like
Well,
Elden Ring brings in some Sekiro mechanics that would work in Souls, like not Sekiro's parrying, obviously, but the ability to crouch and stealth around, and the ability to jump and just go anywhere in
cool.
the environment that you really want to, which is literally the only two things I've been asking from the Souls games in terms of improvement, in terms of the base gameplay. So I'm really happy with it, and also it is, I think, the 5th most played game on Steam of all time, or something like that.
That's
Ooh,
amazing.
that's big.
It almost hit 1 million concurrent players on Steam.
The most exciting thing I think
Huge.
about this, honestly, for me, is just how communal this is. Like David wants to like all friends who like aren't really that big of gamers are like jumping the gun to play Elden Ring because it's such a huge community like culture thing now. Like everyone's playing it.
True.
Everyone's playing it. Every time I check my Discords, like everyone's like 5 people in them streaming Elden Ring together, and it's very cool to see. So I love that. It's been a while since a game has taken the community by storm like that.
Yeah, the FromSoft community like has always been huge, especially when these games launch. It's always massive. Like there's like Dark Souls 3's launch was like this too. Like I remember the purple phantoms at the beginning of Dark Souls 3. Kai, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that stuff is a timeless memories, and that stuff's hilarious to me. And I love these games launches, but yeah, Elden Ring definitely has taken it to the next level.
Yeah, this is the biggest it's ever been, and it's reaching a further audience than it ever has. Like, I mean, obviously you're right, it's come with time, but like if you go back to Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, those were definitely cult hits. Dark Souls less so, but
yeah.
the further you go,
I would say that Demon Souls is Dark Souls is
Yeah.
where it started to become a
Yes,
cultural
yeah,
phenomenon.
yeah,
Because if you look
for
at the
sure.
sales figures between the two games,
yeah, oh yeah, for
like
sure.
Demon Souls sold like 5 million copies, and Dark Souls 1 had sold like 30 million. It wasn't even a contest, so it was massively popular.
Yeah, you're definitely right, but it was definitely also massively popular within the gaming, like
Yes.
the people who want to play those kind of games. Whereas now I think Elden Ring's everyone's playing it. People who like Breath
It's
of
a
the
cultural
Wild are playing it.
phenomenon.
Yeah, everyone's playing it.
Yeah, even outside of those circles though, like original Dark Souls did spawn like it's the Dark Souls of blank reviews. Like it definitely had a big impact on the gaming community as a whole, like even outside of the people who generally play those games.
But now it's just a cultural phenomenon. Like
It's
me
true.
and my other group of buddies, we literally play through Dark Souls 3 at least once a year together. And a
That's
lot
cool.
of the times I'll just grab a buddy and we'll just go through Dark Souls together. And
Yeah, I've done
those
that
are
like
fun games.
3 or 4 times with you on different occasions.
yeah.
I remember I tried to get you into Dark Souls 2 for the first time and you bounced hard.
I bounced hard. That game was hard to eventually beat.
It's
But
always nice to have
did it.
those games like that where you just jump into, like going back to every year. I definitely have a couple like that. BioShock 1 was always a big one for me where I'm like, I'm just gonna play this
Yeah,
again.
that's a big one. That's a big one. I played that again just like last year or so.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to our first Games Club podcast. We'll be back with a regular podcast in a week or two, and then our Games Club podcast at the end of the month. So stay tuned. Love you.
Woo. Love you guys.
Love ya. Bye.